Imagine you had a filter in your eyes. Switch it on and every car worth less than 50 lakh rupees becomes invisible. Now in this brave new world, how many cars do you think you would see wearing the three-pointed star? Take a wild guess, I'll wait. That's right. 1 out of every 2 luxury cars in India is a Mercedes-Benz. The last time something dominated 50% of the market share, it was Parle G in 2005 when I was 10 years old. This means Mercedes is clearly doing something mind-blowing in the kitchen for it to reach such high numbers in such a competitive marketplace.
Yeah, boy.
And not only reach these high numbers, but consistently outperform their own previous sales numbers. Forget about the competition. Mercedes is in a whole new race against itself. This video is an insider look into Merc's secret recipe. How did they come to India? Why did they fall in 2009? How did they bounce back? And why BMW and Audi have failed to dethrone their German sister for the past 5 years. All of this and more. Welcome to White Metal. This is the story of Mercedes-Benz India. Mercedes came to India early, in 1994. But did you know, when they entered, they did not enter alone. They had a partner. A local giant called Telco, aka Tata Motors, was responsible for introducing and launching the Benz in India. They signed a juicy joint venture agreement, and for the very first time, Indian roads felt the weight and presence of German engineering in the form of an E-Class. That move planted the star deep in the nation's mind long before rivals even booked a flight. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, Mercedes sold a handful of C-Class, E-Class and S-Class cars each year. They felt untouchable. But success bred caution. By 2007, 2 energetic guests crashed the party: BMW and Audi. They brought sharp styling, loud marketing and killer prices. Indians who once dreamed only of a Merc suddenly started looking elsewhere. Mercedes lost the #1 spot by 2010. That hurt, and it taught the company its biggest lesson: never rest. In 2013, the brand flipped a switch. Leadership at Mercedes called this year the offensive. They launched the A-Class, B-Class, GLA, GL, GLE and more. Essentially, Mercedes expanded its product portfolio and started catering to segments it had previously ignored. This attracted young professionals who wanted a luxury badge at a relatively accessible price point. In 2014, they chased perfection and dubbed it the Year of Excellence. The message was simple: give Indian buyers every size, every style, every budget while still keeping it premium and fairly exclusive. What's more, they did not chase sales with discounts. Instead, they built their cars here. The Pune plant began to assemble not only bread and butter models, but even AMG rockets and Maybach limos. Local work said goodbye to taxes and prices stayed sharp without killing their prestige. By 2015, Mercedes clawed back the crown with over 13,000 sales, a 32% jump. Average buyer age fell from 45 to under 37. The three-pointed star was cool again. The closest rival to Mercedes in India is BMW. They're known globally for their sporty and driver-focused cars. BMW entered India around 2006-2007 and even led the luxury market for a few years around 2010 to 2012 when Mercedes slipped and fell. However, in India, BMW has usually settled for the #2 spot in sales. But why does BMW trail behind? BMW appeals strongly to enthusiasts, but perhaps less so to those who prioritize comfort and prestige over driving dynamics. Let me just settle down in the back seat and make a few business calls, versus let me just settle down in the driver's seat and make a few not so business burnouts. Also, BMW's strategy in India wasn't always as aggressive in expanding to smaller cities early on, and it did not have an answer to some Mercedes-Benz innovations like the long wheelbase E-Class tailored for chauffeur-driven buyers, which became a runaway hit. Interestingly, while BMW often outperforms Mercedes in global sales, the Indian market flipped that switch, with Mercedes leading and BMW in second place. Next up, Audi. Audi had a golden run in the early 2010s. With stylish models like the Q5 and Q7 SUVs and the A4, A6 sedans, Audi became the cool tech-savvy choice and even briefly took the number one spot around 2013 in India. Their modus operandi was to undercut rivals on price and offer feature-loaded cars that cost less than the BMWs or the Mercs. This worked for a while, but then the cracks started to show up. Audi's strategy of heavy discounts started to hurt its brand image. Many customers began to see Audi as a value luxury option rather than equal to Mercedes. The company even stopped selling diesel engines in India after 2020 due to global decisions. This really hurt them because a big chunk of luxury buyers, especially for SUVs, favored diesels. One thing that Mercedes has always refused to do is wage price wars. They got rid of the slow sellers like the B-Class and moved upmarket. Only 10% of their volume is now entry level. Yet revenue share sits nearly 50% of the whole luxury field. Their rule was clear: be worth the premium, then charge it. Next, JLR. Jaguar and Land Rover, owned by Tata Motors, are two British origin luxury brands. Jaguar for sedans and sports cars, and Land Rover for SUVs. Land Rover SUVs like the Range Rover and Discovery have a strong desirability, but their very high prices and concerns about maintenance kept them niche. Jaguar, on the other hand, never quite gained significant traction against the Germans. And now, with their recent and very confusing rebranding, it's practically out of the race with the Mercs in India. JLR's best warriors, therefore, are mostly Land Rover's niche SUVs. But in a not so surprising turn of events, Mercedes already covers both sedans and SUVs in great detail. Even in the high-end SUV arena, Mercedes has the GLS and G-Wagon that capture the imagination of buyers who might otherwise consider a Range Rover. Who's left in the luxury daily driver category now? Only two if you ask me: Lexus and Volvo. Lexus is Toyota's luxury division and is famous for reliability and comfort in India. They entered the Indian market officially in 2017, selling mostly imported stuff. This automatically takes them out of the race because of our world-famous 100% import duties.
भाई ये तो शुरू होते ही खत्म हो गया यार.
Although there is a ray of hope with the ongoing FTA talks with the Americans and the English. What's absolutely praiseworthy about Lexus is that despite years of senseless import duties on their cars in India, their tiny customer base in the country is generally reported to have been extremely satisfied customers, all thanks to top-notch Toyota service standards. This makes them a tough ninja chihuahua who managed to carve out their own niche in such a fragmented and ruthless market like India. That's commendable. Really, really commendable. The Swedish brand Volvo is also very similar to Lexus in terms of strategy. They've always emphasized on safety and Scandinavian design. In India, Volvo has modest success with its SUV lineup like the XC40, XC60 and XC90, and a sedan or two like the S60 and the S90. They even started assembling a few models locally in the last few years, yet Volvo's sales are quite minor compared to Mercs. Volvo's limited dealer network and lower brand recognition in India keep it from breaking out. Although just like Lexus, it also has a very satisfied customer base. Having said that, Lexus and Volvo both appear to be a clever and dangerous quality threat to Mercedes, just not a volume threat. In the end, all this makes me think is, what if Lexus, Volvo and JLR enter into a non-consensual WWE-style tag team steel cage match against the Germans? That would be a sight to behold, right? 6 things. Crazy product range, clever no-nonsense pricing, fast local investments, pristine after-sales service, knowing exactly what Indians want, and last but not the least, a truly intelligent and consensuous leadership at the top. Let's quickly dive into each one of these. One big strength for Mercedes is the sheer breadth of its lineup in India. Mercedes offers everything from an entry-level A-class sedan for someone taking their first step into luxury to ultra-exclusive Maybach limousines and AMG performance monsters. More importantly, Mercedes has been assembling many of these models locally for years, which brings prices down. As early as 2017, Mercedes-Benz was locally assembling 9 different models in India. with an average of 60% local content in their cars. By now, that list is even longer. From the GLA compact SUV to the S-Class and GLS, most high-volume models are built in Pune. What's more is that Mercedes showed commitment by assembling even the top-end models in India. A great example is the E-Class long wheelbase version, which Mercedes launched in India in 2017 specifically because many Indian buyers are chauffeur-driven and appreciate extra legroom in the rear seat. This model became a blockbuster. By 2018, the E-Class, mostly the long wheelbase version, made up 34% of Mercedes India's sales. Whether you want a sporty coupe, a family SUV, or a tech-laden sedan, or an opulent limousine, Mercedes showroom likely has an option ready. This wide product spread means Mercedes can cater to a broader audience and keep them within the Mercedes family as their needs evolve. Next is the clever no-nonsense pricing. Mercedes-Benz has been very calculated about its pricing in India. It's a bit of a Goldilocks approach, not too high to price themselves out, but also not chasing the lowest price at the cost of brand image. Like I said before, in recent years, Mercedes has actually moved upmarket, discontinuing some of its cheapest models and focusing on high-end variants. Today, only about 10% of Mercedes India sales come from the entry-level segment. Benz management openly says that they don't participate in intense price competition in the lower luxury tiers. They instead choose to cater to customers who truly value their brand and quality. This strategy directly shows up in the numbers. The average transaction price for a Merc in India has shot up. The average selling price of a Benz in India was about 50 big ones just a few years ago. It's 95 lakh rupees now. In contrast, Audi went for aggressive pricing and discounts in the 2010s, which gained short-term sales but eroded their premium status. Mercedes avoided that trap, and the payoff is evident in its 50% share of the luxury segment's revenue. People are willing to pay a premium for a Mercedes, and the brand has promised to not cheapen itself. Perfect two-way street. That said, Mercedes isn't overpricing either. Local assembly and scale have enabled it to sometimes price certain models lower than their rivals. For example, when the new C-Class sedan was launched, it was very competitively priced against the BMW 3 Series and Audi A4. Mercedes hits a sweet spot. Charge a fair premium but deliver corresponding value and never become a discount brand. And when it comes to pricing, do you know what the cherry on the top is? In 2021, Mercedes ripped apart the old dealership playbook. Under the new agency model, prices are transparent and fixed by the company across India. No haggling, no hidden fees. This lifted the enormous pressure Indian car dealerships put on their salespeople that forced them to use shady tactics. Mercedes dealers now act as brand agents who actually deliver the car, not dance around discounts. Thousands have been sold this way, and the buyers are loving the honesty. Rivals, on the other hand, still struggle with regional price gaps. Hi there. Sorry for the interruption, but part 1 has ended here. Click on the first link in the description to continue watching this story in part 2. Thank you very much.